So, hello, I just wanted to come on here and talk about how life can literally change in the blink of an eye. You can spend so much time sitting still thinking, what do you want to do with yourself? What are your goals? What are your dreams? What do you want? And oftentimes we tend to know what we want. I know for me, my algorithm is a clear kind of display and demonstration of my desires. So, what is important to me, how I see my life, my future, my family, wanting to home educate our children, wanting to world school, wanting to travel the world with my husband and my kids, um, wanting to find the tribe that, you know, I really feel connected to, that, I finally feel that feeling and that sense of belonging, wanting to heal, wanting to be healthy, wanting to let go of all the dramas. And, it's so funny how life can just throw things at you like constantly. I made some interesting calls at work recently where I basically expressed that I wanted to reduce my hours. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you understand maybe some of the context around that. I won't go into that now, but please do check out some of my other videos about what it feels like as a Black woman working within higher education, token within my team, um, and really one of very few within my faculty. So, yeah, there's that element, but there's also just the element of, the workload and the fact that I really don't see the prospects within that space for myself, or that I've kind of fallen out of um, love with it. I'm a little bit disillusioned with it all. And considering, I went into academia straight after qualifying, which is obviously not a common route, I feel like it's better that it has happened in this way because one, it has built my confidence, the fact that I was able to achieve such a thing so early into my career, but also I have learned a lot within the space, within the nearly year that I've been there, and within the nearly year that I've been qualified. So I, but I'm ready for a new adventure. I'm ready to explore what it really does mean to be within my profession and be in practice. I'm a compassionate person, I'm an empathetic person, and really within the higher education institution, that, although on paper may be said to be seen as a positive strength in terms of connecting with and looking after our students, the reality is many people within the space do not necessarily operate in that way. It's similar to the idea of being inclusive and anti-black and anti-Semitic and all of these things that we are apparently anti, that actually, really are just slogans and banners and, once a month events um, set up by the people who perhaps maybe do genuinely care, whilst the majority absolutely do not. And I just don't know that I'm suited to that space. I studied my profession, which is an allied health profession. It's a caring profession. I did that for a reason. And that's because I enjoy helping people. That's because I care about people deeply. I deeply care about people. And I don't know that I'm able to show that, express that, and help people in the way that I want to help them within my current academic role as a lecturer. And, we are swarmed and swallowed in admin. There is not a moment, there's so much paperwork. There's obviously marking. There's, that time to build those relational bonds and support, truly support students who in this day and age are dealing with so many things. We have, quite a lot of mature students on our course. It attracts a lot of people from different walks of life. And, those people require support. They require understanding. They require people who are truly compassionate, people who are not just teaching something, but are also living and breathing that. And perhaps because I am fairly newly qualified myself, I still feel that passion and that drive to be, you know, that way, in a way that maybe some of the more experienced academics no longer feel, you know. But I've decided, it's not my job to change the place. It's not my job to um, fight systems. And as much as I care and want to advocate for change, want to highlight the issues and problems and challenges that not only do I see, but that students bring to me directly, I can only do so much. I'm one individual, and I have to look after myself, my mental well being, my mental health, and understand that, I can't help everybody. I can't save everybody. I'm just me. And the energy that I put, the mental energy that I put into this role, the extra time spent navigating my workload, but also the microaggressions, the just negativity is not something that I'm willing to do, not at the expense of myself, not at the expense of my health, not at the expense of my growth, my professional growth, my personal growth, not at the expense of my children, not at the expense of my husband. I want to be present. I want to be able to switch off when I go home. I don't want to still be thinking about the things that have gone on in the day. And I know that there's an element of that in many jobs, but I do feel like it is exceptionally high for me personally within this space. And I have decided, this space is suitable and appropriate for many people, I'm sure, but it is not suitable and appropriate for me, a Black woman who is neurodivergent, who is a mother caring for 2 children under 5, who has experienced so much pain and trauma in my life, and who is just ready to now live in truth and in alignment, to stop appeasing and stop people pleasing. Like, that is where I'm at. And asking to reduce my hours is just a part of me stepping into that alignment with what I actually want, what is actually important to me. So I'm really proud of myself for doing that. The next step is to figure out if I want to do anything more clinically, or whether I want to stay within academia within the long term, whether that is worthwhile to me, whether that, let me give you one example. I'm on a fixed term contract, right? Because I have leave to remain. I'm not a British citizen. I don't have indefinite leave to remain. I recently read a report on racism within this country, which, let's look at the reform results recently in the local elections. People love to gaslight me, and specifically within this setting, and say, oh, it's just a small number of people. It's just a small number of people. Well, I think we're seeing increasingly more so that no, it absolutely isn't. And you know what? I actually found relief in that result, because I knew that what I was seeing, the negative change I've been seeing in this country in recent times, the fears I have about sending my children into mainstream school where they are token children, where there is not one member of representation in the school that we were planning to send her to, and my decision to decline that school offer, which I have ummed and ahed and gone back and forth on more than I can even count or explain to you. It was relief. It was relief that, no, you're doing the right thing. Your child.
Hey, hon, I'm not done.
Sorry, so that was my sister. I mean, that's a whole other thing that's been going on. And another thing, I'm not going to go into it, obviously, it's her business, but just another thing that makes you realize, it's so important to make sure that you are truly living in alignment with yourself and not for others, to make sure that you are pleasing yourself and not pleasing or appeasing other people. So yeah, I'm with her right now. I'm in her car waiting for her, but I thought I would just come on and do this video. So yeah, I, you know, higher education maybe for many, but I'm realizing it's not for me. And maybe in another life where I am not wanting to be present mentally well and unburdened with a workload that is so intense, that really, and a job that really has no prospects for me. I've not been guaranteed anything. I'm on a fixed term contract. And that's what I was saying before. You know, fixed term contracts are just one way that employers in this country discriminate against people like me. There's no reason for me not to be on a permanent contract. People who were hired around the same time as me are on a permanent contract. But it was specifically cited that it's my visa. And then I read this article from this inquiry that came out about racism within institutions within the United Kingdom. And it stated that fixed term contracts are something in a way in which people are being discriminated against. Employees are being discriminated against. And it was eye opening. On top of of the fact that I have been waiting for my flexible working request to be accepted with very minimal communication or acknowledgement or understanding or support or any of those things, and completely, um, they've gone completely against policy. And whilst, you know, it's very easy to say, oh, advocate for yourself, go to HR, etc., etc., these systems are not set up for people like me, and they're definitely not set up to protect me in this situation. So, I have full autonomy. I have a degree. I know I can go and get myself another job. And that's how I handle these types of situations, because why am I begging and pleading for something that I shouldn't have to beg and plead for when I have seen adjustments be made for others? You know, when I have seen compression of hours be approved in recent weeks, but yet somehow I'm still waiting. And I think people often mistake kindness for weakness. I think people often mistake a person who is not, you know, confrontational or wanting to kick up a fuss as someone who can be taken advantage of, as someone who's naive. Now, for one, if they think that I'm not a person who can kick up a fuss, they obviously do not know me, or they have projected whatever they need to project onto me to make themselves feel comfortable. But I'm a person who has to care to kick up that fuss. And when I understand that I have full autonomy to go look for another job, to go explore, to leave, to do other things that I want to do that are important and meaningful to me, I'm not going to waste any more energy, any more time. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. And I'm really quite proud. I'm going to have a conversation about this at work on Thursday. And, if anyone's intention is to try and change my mind, I think it's beyond that now. But equally, I don't know that I even want to reduce my hours. I think I potentially want to leave. And there is a part of me that is thinking, do I hold on to this titled position? That maybe somewhere deep inside I still feel an imposter syndrome or sense of I should be so grateful that I was given this opportunity, or I have no business being in this position, in such my early tenure. But I'm really trying to see past that, because you know what? I've been doing the job. And I think I do the job damn well. So I need to really see past that and understand that from the start, this institution, this job, maybe even this team hasn't truly shown me a true sense of belonging and value. And that starts with the fixed term contract that I was given simply because I'm not British and or don't have indefinite leave to remain. And I don't want to be in a place that does not value me as a human being because of the visa that I hold. Knowing that I'm a long term resident with British children and a British husband, and I've been here for such a long time, even knowing my circumstances and the why, I've been here since I was 3 years old. I'm 35. So, you know, that stands for nothing in this country, and that stands for nothing in this institution. But I've seen jobs, I've seen other organizations who have a completely different ethos, and I'm open to exploring them. But let me know what you think. Should I step out of this academic role? Should I go and explore other things? Have you worked in academia as a Black woman in the UK or the US or anywhere? And have you found that being in predominantly white institutions has been a challenge for you or to your mental health? I'd love to hear your opinions and your thoughts on this. So, yeah, stay regal in real life. And thanks for stopping by.